Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and what I wanted to do in this video was a quick review of the Nomad as a cargo hauler. I'm completing the reviews for this ship as I did combat yesterday. Now this video will be pretty brief because the cargo running is pretty simplistic in-game, but there are a few notable things that we'll talk about. Now first off, when you're using the Nomad, I'd recommend finding trades that are nearby, because in trading, time is going to be money, and that really comes down to UEC per minute over your total haul. Additionally, smaller ships have smaller quantum fuel tanks, so range can be a factor that you need to watch out for, and if you're jumping between planets, you're going to have to stop and refuel more often, potentially slowing you down. Granted, you can refuel at most places that you're going to sell, so it's probably not the end of the world, but a bigger call out when talking about box missions as something you need to think about. You also have to pick the quantum drive that makes the most sense for this gameplay and where you're going to be doing your missions. The VK Double Lot is a great choice if you're going to be going places very quickly, but it does eat through so much fuel that I would probably recommend using something like the Atlas or the stock expedition that comes with it. But since those aren't remarkably fast, trades are best suited to being in the same planetary sector, such as doing trades between like Hurston and Ida, Hurston and Ariel, like that type of thing. Now, as far as the ship's performance as a hauler, it does a nice job. The trick here is that you need to kind of have the right frame of reference, because if you're used to bigger ships, you have to remember that the target audience here is that this is a semi-starter. So when you see 24 SCU of cargo, it's supposed to be impressive for the level that it is. And don't compare it to a Caterpillar, because it's a different beast altogether. Now, the way the cargo kind of hangs out in the bed, it's cooler than I expected it to be, and it does have a bit more protection around it than I expected it to, though obviously it's more exposed than an internal storage area would be. The ship handles pretty well in atmosphere, so getting down to planets or moons and fighting the wind, it doesn't really seem to be a big concern. When you're actually landed in that hovering formation, it doesn't actually blow around, it is nice and stable. It's also good that it has a retractable ladder, which helps to prevent people from sneaking onto your ship, like if you forget to raise a ramp on a ship like the Freelancer or the Cutlass would be. Now, with it being a smaller ship, it is able to maintain a higher speed in atmosphere as well. So if you have to go down to Hurston to get to the CBD, it's not that big of a chore, and it does fit pretty well into hangars that it gets assigned to. So while I've definitely clipped it on entry, it's not like trying to cram a bigger ship into some of those hangars that you get assigned, where it's a very, very tight fit. Overall, in the Astatine run I did, I think I netted around 18,000, so it's not terrible, and that's a pretty painless run. I think the sweet spot here, though, is probably using this thing for runs between moons, like taking med supplies or agriculture supplies or those types of things, where you can carry high-priced goods without having to mess around with trains on big planets, where you're taking advantage of the flight model and avoiding the time suck of landing in trains. And that's probably really the big key to making the most out of this ship. Now, I also think later, once we get the whole series and the tractor beam on the back of this ship, once those actually become a thing, I think this likely serves as a great option for doing the Argo's job at a much larger scale, or potentially even piracy as a support ship. So that's kind of just cargo hauling overall. It's a nice little ship that does combat fairly well and cargo very well for its size. Now, there will be additional complications that come later, specifically regarding piracy and the protection of your cargo, but time will tell on that. Overall, the ship turned out much better than I expected it to be, and I can safely say that I give this ship a big thumbs up on my recommendations after doing further testing. I still think that the Cutlass is a better ship overall, but if you want something that will also haul a rock around for mining like Hadnite, while doing what this ship was already sold as doing, it's a good investment if you don't already have something that's a class up from it. As a reminder, I am going to be doing a giveaway on this ship, likely starting in the next day or two, so keep an eye out for that. And remember that people who support my channel on Patreon also get additional entries into those drawings, so considering supporting if you haven't already, but also if you just want access to my Discord and more exposure to myself and a bunch of other tremendous space nerds, that would be a good way to do it. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and take care.